Hey, so today I'm going to go over Google Analytics with you. I'm going to show you how to log in. It's very simple, and I'll also I'll go over the basics of it with you so you can begin to understand the types of data that you can gather from this tool. It's actually, I think you'll find it really handy. So please ignore the little watermark here. I'm not paying $200 for the full version of this editing software, so just hopefully get past that. Thanks. So without further ado, here you go, Google Analytics. Okay, so the very first thing I want to do is briefly show you how Google Analytics is accomplished on your website very quickly, just so you kind of see how it is set up in your dashboard and how it functions on your end of things. So I'm going to type in wp-admin on the end of your URL and log into your dashboard. And I'm going to go to plugins in the menu here. And as you can see, Google Analytics is actually accomplished by a custom plugin installed on your website. So if you ever want to deactivate Google Analytics for any reason, say you want to do some testing or something, I don't know, you can actually just click deactivate there and it'll stop the code from running on your site. And then you can always click activate again after you, if you want to. Just keep in mind that it takes Google Analytics 24 hours to actually show the data in the Analytics dashboard. So if you deactivate it, then activate it again, just be aware you won't see any new data until 24 hours after you've activated it again. So that's really all there is to it. Just be aware that this plugin accomplishes that, and if you want to get rid of it, then you're getting rid of Google Analytics on your site. Okay, so let's get to the meat and potatoes. Logging into Google Analytics is extremely simple. As you probably know, all your Google apps are connected to your one Google account, which makes it really handy to log in to things like, your Gmail, YouTube, and of course Google Analytics. So I'm actually just going to go to google.com and we're going to log into your Google account. I'm going to click sign in. I'm going to log into your account. Alright, so we're logged into your Google account. Now I'm going to go to google.com/analytics. And this will take you to the Google Analytics homepage. So there's actually a lot of stuff here. I actually don't know anything other than the analytics dashboard, so if you're interested in learning more about SEO techniques, like, I don't know, the tag manager and that sort of stuff, I can certainly look into it for you and help you out with that. But for right now, we're just focusing on the Google Analytics dashboard. So I'm going to go ahead and click sign in. And since we're already logged into your Google account, we can just click Analytics, and it takes you right to the Google Analytics dashboard. So, fantastic. The very first thing you'll see is an overview of the last 7 days of your website's activity. So right now you're not going to see very much because we just installed Google Analytics, so it's going to take a bit of time for this information to be accurate. But I do want to go over the 4 very basic concepts of Google Analytics that are shown right here: users, sessions, bounce rate, and session duration. Users are the amount of unique visitors that you get to your website, and sessions are the amount of actual website visits that you get. So the difference between that is you could have one user that has 6 different sessions. Users are unique, sessions are actual website or page visits. That's the main difference between those. The bounce rate is the percentage of people that visited your website or a page on your website and then left without interacting with anything. So they visited your site and then they left it. It's interesting because since you have a blog, this number is actually likely to be very high because you'll get visitors from social media that just visit your blog post and then leave because they don't click on anything else. So if the bounce rate number is high, that is not necessarily a bad thing, especially since you have a blog. So just be aware of that if that number's high. The session duration is pretty much what it says it is. It's the average time that a user spends on your website. That could include clicking around, visiting other pages. It's from when they open your site to when they leave your site, and that is the average. And that was my phone interrupting the recording. Sorry about that. Okay, so very briefly, I'm going to go over the 5 different categories of data that you can get from Google Analytics. The first is real-time data, and I'm just going to open the menu and click Overview here. And you can get a whole bunch of information about the people that are on your site right now. So again, this is just an overview. In the menu, you can view specific types of data, like traffic sources or where the users are coming from. Locations are where they are. Obviously, it's pretty self-explanatory. So this is the social traffic that you get from social media. And again, this is for people that are visiting your site right now, that are actually active. Referrals are where they're coming from. So it could be social media. It could be from another blog post. It could be from a Google search. But that's where that data would come from. And the top keywords are if they found your site through a search engine like Google or Yahoo, then the keywords that they search for would appear here. So that can actually really help your you determine SEO, the tags that you tag your blog posts in, or keywords that you use in your post and title. Very, very helpful information. So the audience menu is where you can get a whole lot of really helpful information about the people that are visiting your website. You get, obviously, your standard data that we went over earlier, like users, sessions, number of sessions per user, like averages, that sort of stuff. A handy little pie chart of new visitors versus returning visitors. Pretty interesting stuff. Down here you can actually see like the browser that they used to visit your website, or the operating system that they're running on their computer. So like Windows, Android. It's really, really detailed information. I just want to point out the interests menu here under the audience. This will be really helpful for you to determine the type of ads that you display on your website, as well as affiliate links that you build. I'm sure that you have a pretty good idea of your audience, I mean, for Simple Homeschooler, but you might actually be surprised some of the data that shows up here, and maybe you want to start targeting ads or building affiliate links towards some data that you actually find here. It can be very helpful, and I've found it to be pretty surprising sometimes. So very helpful information about your audience. If they're using mobile phones here, you can see like the type of phone that they have to visit your website. Like somebody visited with this cell phone. Super detailed information, and there's just so much to go over that I can't fit it all in this video, but by all means play around with it because there's so much stuff you can learn from this. The acquisition menu, also very important. This is how people got to your site. So direct is people who actually open up their browser and typed in your URL. And it looks like we've got a bunch of people that did that. It was probably me and probably you. But that's how people would get to your website. If they open their browser, typed in your URL. Social is the people who visited your site from Facebook or Pinterest or Twitter. That data would show up here. And I imagine that people who clicked through from your emails, that would show up in a category as well. Behavior is very interesting. This is how people who visit your site interact with your site. So the bounce rate, again, it's high because it's a blog. People visit your blog post that you post on social media and then leave without clicking anything else. It's common for blogs. Don't worry about it. But you can actually get, let's see, behavior flow here on the menu is really interesting because you can actually see a chart or a graph that details people who visit your site and then the pages they visit and how they interact with it, and very, very helpful information. You can also get information about the speed of your website, um, how it's loading in people's browsers, and just really helpful and detailed stuff. So this is a very, very basic overview of Google Analytics. I really encourage you to play around with this because there's a lot more stuff that you can learn from it. But this is just basically how to get around and, what some of the terms mean. So there you go. A very basic overview of how to log in and find your way around Google Analytics. If you have any questions in general, or if you have a question about a particular concept or section of Google Analytics, I'd be happy to make a particular video for you, or an infographic, or even just explain it in an email. So feel free to reach out. Again, I would really encourage you to actually get in there and play around with Google Analytics. You can't really mess anything up because there's nothing to mess up. So that's the fastest way you'll learn, is just get in there and, spend 30, 45 minutes just playing around with it and getting to know your way around. Again, a lot of the numbers are a little bit off right now because we just started it, but as you get more traffic, you will see more accurate numbers in there. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you enjoy Google Analytics.